We're joined now by the president of the All Farmers Association, Kabir Faskari. Good to see you and thanks for your time. Looking at your smile, I think that should also translate to, a well-fed Nigerian. But again, the story is not the same because we've seen a lot of people talk about it, and we've had this conversation the last time. Has anything changed? We're talking about cocoa now, looking at those two reports, cocoa, and the last time the Ghanaian president spoke about how bad it is that the African doesn't get pretty much value from what's gotten from cocoa. In fact, I mean a chocolate, that's the end product. So speak to us on how best we can reverse some of these trends. Specifically, let's start from the cocoa farmers, some of your colleagues.
Well, the issue here is if you sell cocoa in its raw form, you get nothing. Because the people who add value to it bring back to us those things that they added value to, and they take millions from us. We get nothing. In fact, that's why we have been doing subsistence farming, because we are not adding value. That is the value chain approach to agriculture. You must add value to be able to really make something of farming. If you sell anything, any crop whatsoever, if you sell it in its raw form, you don't get anything. The person who adds value makes all the money.
So, well, Nigeria used to occupy a pride of place, as far as cocoa is concerned. It used to be the second largest producer of cocoa in the world. Now we're here as number 6. What exactly are the challenges? What's plaguing our cocoa, sector, and how can it be improved?
The issue here is, I think the effect is all of agricultural, is on all of agricultural production or productivity. There are many issues that we must address to be able to optimally upscale our productivity. Now, there are many challenges in terms of the seed type that we use.
Seed type?
Yes.
Okay.
Most people hardly ever use really veritable seeds for productivity. Most farmers cannot afford seeds. In some crops, they just use grains. They use what they produced the previous year, take the best out of what they produced and plant it. That is not seed. Most of these things are not explained to the general public and to the farmers. There is a world of difference between planting a seed and a grain. The yield always goes down when you plant grains. Okay. But when you plant seed, you are not losing so much by paying high for it, because that is counterbalanced by the yields that you get. So in all crops, and including cocoa, these problems are there. Now, there are other issues affecting productivity in Nigeria, which we have always been talking about. A lot of insecurity, is everywhere. Yeah. And insecurity is a threat factor to productivity. Then we have been in denial of climate change. We have not done much to mitigate the effect. And that is a very serious threat as well. Then we don't have mechanization. The mechanization that we have is abysmal. The percentage is very small. We must have that. So then we must be able to process whatever we produce, and our energy sector has to be up and doing to be able to allow us or enable us to do that processing. And then we have post-harvest loss, because we still go to power. Some of the things that are perishable are not kept in the right kind of place where you can prolong their shelf lives.
Let's come back to how you started talking about if you do that, if you deal in raw forms, you can make business, and it brings us to national food security, because it will seem, I see the smile on your face, because it will seem as if that's what we're dealing with. The last time we saw a viral video of farmers whose produce were destroyed owing to the impassable road networks in the country. So how do we deal with the national food security, which is very important. A hungry nation is definitely an angry nation.
Yes, in fact, this is a very interesting conversation. You know, we started it here when soon after the declaration of the state of emergency on food security in Nigeria. To us, that declaration entails doing all our utmost to take care of insecurity, provide good transportation. Our energy sector must work. We must be able to add value, process for us to be able to. We must also beef up our purchasing power generally. So these are all the things that you need to do to get food security, because food security means eating what you want to eat at the time that you want to eat it, and that it is nutritiously valuable to you.
Nothing is lost.
Nothing of it is lost. So for you to get that, you have to take care of all these issues: energy, transportation, and your productivity has to be high, and you must be able to add value. So these are all things, and you must have you must stem insecurity.
Right.
Otherwise, you will not be able to produce optimally. So these are things, and
So
then you have to also produce the year round. You don't just produce when the rains come, and you can just see what is happening now.
So how can you achieve that all year round?
All year round means using your dams, building canals from the dams, and also using groundwater. You must be able to dig very deep boreholes everywhere, and that you can really use the water from underground to augment what you get from the dams, from canalization and all that. And this is what happens in the first world. Any country that talks of having food security is not just doing rain-fed agriculture. It's working round the clock and all year round.
Very quickly, before we let you go, we'll be remiss if we don't talk about this National Cocoa Festival. What's the significance, and what exactly, what do we expect out of this festival? It's the second one that you're having, or it's always been?
I'm not a cocoa farmer.
Right, understandable.
But any festival on any crop is to bring it to the limelight, that there are many things you can get from it. You are just talking of, just today, we have been doing the cassava conference, the Africa Cassava Conference in fact, I came for it. I came today, and I drove straight from the airport to the NAF Center. We are doing the Africa Cassava Conference. Now, cassava, cocoa, and anything, wheat, rice, whatever, if you eulogize those crops and you bring them to the limelight, what you are telling people, and especially the farmers, is that there is something that you can get from doing that. So go on and do that. Incentivize the farmers to produce optimally so that you have enough. But to get food security, mind you, you really need to look at all the 6 geopolitical zones and define what is staple there, and then maximize the production. Because if, for instance, you give people rice in the south, some of them think it's not food.
Right.
There are other things. So do not optimize the production of rice globally, that is in the country, and imagine that you are going to have food security. You must do cassava there if it's...
So in other words, you're asking us, perhaps we can go back to how it started. Each region, we know what obtains around those regions. If it's going to I like to use the old middle belt, cassava and all that. But again, by the time we have enough in abundance, it brings us to the national silos.
Right, storage.
Well, you see, the principle of CADEP, is that during the Maputo Declaration, there were certain pillars that you needed to satisfy to be able to attain food security. Storage is one of them. And that's why, from 2008, we tried to put a lot of emphasis on storage, and that our capacity got to 1.3 million metric tons. We were supposed to have our surplus grains and whatever we want to store inside those storages. We did not do that. A lot of these things are not there. If, like, when the president said he was going to give 200,000 metric tons of maize,
Right.
did we have it? We didn't have it.
He's also spoken about commodities board, bringing them back. How significant?
He talked about the, well, he mentioned that, but is it there? If you don't have the commodity, what is the board going to do?
What difference would it make?
Now, it would make a lot of difference. People would sell on the exchange. People will have ready market when they produce.
Okay.
Otherwise, you know, you produce something and you have no market.
Right.
Good market, that means that you get good value for whatever you produce. That is the idea. If you have
so
that,
much.
it helps you a lot.
I wish we could spend all the 2 hours talking about this, and there will be no dull moment. Kabir Faskari, President of All Farmers Association, thank you so much for joining us.
You're
Good
welcome.
to see you again.
Thank you for having me.